Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared. Hello, hello. Welcome. We're excited to be talking to you today. Today was the Patreon pick, and the movie that won was recommended by B Spacebar. So B Spacebar recommended the movie. Patrons voted on all the picks, and the one that won was Mother! From 2017.
Yeah, this was Angelo, one of our Patreon members. And I'm going to be honest, I looked it up. I needed to know who subjected us to this. And we can talk more about that later.
That's awesome. But before we do talk about that, Tony, what are you drinking?
I have a Vizzy, one of those strawberry orange mimosas. Went and grabbed this from the grocery store or the gas station because I was like, I'm gonna need a drink for this conversation.
Nice.
I'm dropping you hints a little early on how I feel about this movie. Felicia, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water. I woke up with a migraine again. Guys, here's the thing though. I talked to my husband and I am going to go to a physical therapist because I think it's related to my back. Because I have
your
pain.
Neck, right?
Yeah, I have pain in my back that goes to my neck that goes directly to my head. And of the past few weeks, I've been working out every day on this workout program, but I noticed I've been getting more headaches as well.
Oh, interesting.
And so just enough is a fuck enough. Just like when I wake up with a headache and have to nurse that shit. So I'm going to go to a physical therapist, I don't know. Because when I go to chiropractors, it actually does help. But I have to always go to the chiropractor and get cracked. I would really like to just heal whatever the fuck is going on. So anyways, long story short, I'm drinking water because I took some headache medicine earlier today.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's it. So what have you been watching, reading, listening to?
First of all, I want an update if you go to a physical therapist.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to know. I mean, yeah, I'm just curious to know if that helps. For me, my thing, I have like one big thing I want to talk about. But we also started watching, and I downloaded a free trial of Paramount Plus to watch the new Beavis and Butthead. And I just feel like, where has this been? Like, why has this not happened until now that we revived Beavis and Butthead? You probably didn't know that about me, Felicia, but I fucking love one of my favorite movies of all time is Beavis and Butthead Do America. And
really?
Yes, I love it. I love it. So nostalgic because I watched it when I was like a teenager, and Jade too. So we started watching the new season. And I'm just like, how? Because they're watching instead of music videos, they're watching like YouTube videos. And I'm just like, how did they wait? How did they wait till now? Isn't that genius? It's so good.
Yeah, that is genius. That's fun. I remember Beavis and Butthead too. I liked them, but I don't think I was as into it, but I wasn't a teen. If you were a teen, I wasn't a teen. So yeah, I do know who they are. And I remember laughing at some of their stuff. I just didn't get that.
I definitely, I think there's probably a cutoff. Like there's probably a moment where you're too old, not in a bad way, but like it is kind of just juvenile humor in a way. And so like if you're old enough to not, you know what I mean? I feel like there was probably a gap there where it was like partially funny. I was like a dumbass, like 15, 16-year-old. And so I just identified with it so heavily. So
that's so cool. I didn't even know they revived it.
Yeah, I get because they did that new movie, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, which I haven't seen. I think maybe that kicked off the revitalization of the show itself. So anyway, very excited about that. But the thing that I want to talk about the most is we watched this documentary. I already slacked you about it, so you know, Felicia. It's on Netflix. It's called Woodstock 99.
Yes.
And oh my God, this was incredible in a
Right.
not great way, because it got super fucking crazy, but I immediately was obsessed with this because it's like a 3-part series. Jade started watching the first episode and he stopped at the end of the first episode and he came and got me. He was like, you're going to need to watch this with me. I was like, thank you for doing that. So we watched the next 2 episodes. It's all about, obviously, the 99 Woodstock and how fucking crazy it got. Apparently it just devolved into like total fucking anarchy. And I didn't know anything about this. The only Woodstock I ever heard anything about was the 94 Woodstock because Green Day played there. And I love Green Day. It's my favorite band.
Yeah.
And so they did like this whole, it got like really muddy. I think it rained or something. And they like, while Green Day was playing, it was like an all out fucking mud fight. People just like sliding around, throwing mud and stuff. Anyway, this 3-part series, I was so entranced. If you have any recs, anybody out there, or you, Felicia, about like documentaries of this, like kind of fucking just total chaos anarchy, it gave me an itch that I haven't been able to scratch. Like I want to watch another documentary like this, like just watching people go fucking crazy. I don't know why. It's just really fascinating for me. I think it's because I have a little tiny anarchist inside of me that's like, I can totally get how people would get wrapped up or like whipped up in this type of frenzy and start like acting crazy and doing shit that you would never do, you know, as part of like a civilized society. But people start like looting and it's just like total chaos. They're breaking shit. They like knock over towers, like sound towers in the, it's like
scary.
Yeah.
Scary too. Okay. It was awesome. I watched it as well. So I totally back up Tawny. You got to go watch this. You should also watch the documentary about the original Woodstock, because that was a lot of fun. And you see the same guy, right, that's putting on this Woodstock. And that was utter chaos too, but just in a different way, because there was the peace, love there. My husband and I were talking about this. They keep trying to revive that, but that was the culture during that time. It was the music, it was the people created that. And I think it's so cool to see in 99, that was not the culture, the people, that was not. So you can't force that. You can't force that to happen, no matter how hard you try. And I thought that it was super cool. Definitely watch the one about the original Woodstock too, because I just think it's cool because you see how that came about, how that was a failure and how it wasn't a failure and all the stuff that went on. And then you can see over time, I don't know if they have one about 94. I don't think so. They should create one though. Let's just see.
I tried to find one and I couldn't find one. And I do want to watch that one.
Let's see all of them. Let's see the progression of how maybe we'll get back to this peace love one day. Probably not, but yeah, super cool. There is, if you liked that about the festival and all the craziness, one about, it's called Fire, about the Fire Festival. I watched
that. Yeah.
Okay. There isn't as much like, there's chaos in a different way, but not in, okay, but you did see that. All right. I'll keep my eye out for any other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I started watching a documentary about the first one because there's several made about the first one, but in the, what was it, 69? But it wasn't super great. I don't know. I just want to watch one that was produced on that same level, I feel like, of the newer Netflix one. But what I did see was interesting because apparently they were very, very, very selective about who they let come and play. Like the doors, somebody threw out the doors and they turned down the doors several times because I guess every time that they had played, it turned into riots, which is what happens in 99. So I think it's interesting that the fucking music lineup, like, I don't know, this just feels like a cultural, it's just like a very interesting cultural thing to examine because the lineup was like Limp Bizkit, Korn, Rage Against the Machine, and then they had like Sheryl Crow and Jewel. Like it was weird. It was a weird lineup, and the people who were organizing it, Bush, they were like, we didn't really know who any of these people were, but they were so careful about who they let play in the first one because they didn't want to like disturb this peace and love, like harmony type thing. But 99's like they threw that out the window, and culturally it was a very different time, and it's just fascinating to me.
It totally is. Because let me try to find the one that we watched, because I thought maybe it's one that you have seen and you didn't like, but maybe not. Because I remember really liking it, and I remember the pace was really good, learning about that original Woodstock. But that's so curious, because back then when you look at Woodstock and you see people and they're high and naked, and it does not feel scary at all. It doesn't feel like at all worrisome that you're high and naked and young and out in the field. It feels safe and it feels peaceful and full of love and just people driving. And then here you see women taking off their clothes. I'm like, oh God, please put your clothes on. Like, you're going to get raped. Like, you get that fear that is not the environment here, but they wanted it so bad to be that, and it just is not. And what a big fucking miss. Like, people are saying, oh yeah, but, is Fred Durst, is that who's in? Yeah.
Oh, wait.
No.
Is it? No.
Limp Bizkit guy. I don't even know who Fred Durst is. I don't even know why that name came into my head.
You're close. It's
Who's
something like that.
The Limp Bizkit. It's all for the nookie. That's the Limp Bizkit, right?
Yeah.
That's the Limp Bizkit. I know this music. I also grew up with it. I was just older than Tawny, but I still fucking love that song.
It's Fred Durst. Okay,
I was right. At first, I was really questioning myself. Okay. They were like, oh, he was riling up the crowd. Bitch, what'd you think he was going to do? That's his music. If you're going to bring on Rage Against the Machine and think they're not going to rile up the crowd, what are they going to do? He put on a good fucking show. It just happened to be at the wrong place because of what happened. But he put on an amazing show. And so to what was he supposed to do? They were like, he should have brought them down, not riled them up. What was he going to play? None of his songs would... I know. What was he going to play?
That was his job. He was supposed to put on a good show. Exactly. And it's funny, they interview his ex-manager, and they're like, the best thing he could have done in that situation is put on the best show he could have. And Jade and I were joking. We're like, yeah, I mean, you are his ex-manager, so, you're a little biased. But yeah, I do think that's true. And it was like they were all blaming the people who put on this Woodstock. They're all blaming the acts for what happened, and it was like, fuck off. You didn't provide the correct security. You didn't make everybody feel safe. And that's ultimately kind of why I don't want to ruin it. I want people to watch this, but that's part of what led to people's anger about this situation. And it's like they just could not take responsibility. It was infuriating to watch because people did get raped. It was total chaos at this place.
Terrifying.
And they just don't take any responsibility for what happened. But if you're the person putting on this event, you need to take responsibility for people's safety and stuff. And it's not the act's job. It's not Korn's job. It's not Fred Durst's job to make sure that people are safe. Fuck off. It's crazy.
I'm literally making a note because I always forget when I edit. I'm like, tangents include Woodstock.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So if you can't tell, you should watch that. That was really well done. Really interesting and scary. I love scared.
I did too. I love the way they put together the story and the pacing, the editing, everything. There's footage of fucking everything because it was 99, which kept surprising me. I know it's not that long ago, but it feels like there wouldn't be this much footage of even the people talking about it. They're interviewing people and you see footage of them at this event. So that was it was great. Highly recommend. Again, there was some really terrible shit that happened, and I'm not saying that is good in any type of way. I just feel the need to caveat that.
We said the Night Stalker by Netflix was a great show. Obviously, we don't think the Night Stalker's good.
Right.
The show was well done. This was a very well done documentary.
I just meant because earlier I was like, oh, there's a little anarchist inside of me, and I kind of you're watching these people just pop off, and I am sort of oh, I don't know, this is a little satisfying, but I'm not saying any of the terrible stuff that happened to people was in any way justified. I just felt for myself too.
You remind me of, you would have been that one girl that was only like 14, 15 who was talking, or the one guy who was like, dude, it was fucking scary. Remember him and his friend? He's like, but it was the best fucking experience of my life because it was so crazy. That would be you if you had gone.
Exactly. They interview her as she's like 14. Yeah. She's like standing in the dust, the rubble, and they're like, oh, it got totally crazy. How was this? And she was like, yeah, it was really scary. And they were like, oh, would you come again? She was like, absolutely, no question. I would totally come to this again. It's like, that would be me. Yes.
I would have just the heat. Oh my God. And the lack of water and I just don't like being really dirty and really hot. So yeah. I would have been real fucking miserable. I probably would have been someone who left early. Tawny would have stayed till the end. I would have been like, Tawny, I gotta go. Now,
Tawny, at my age, I would have left for sure. Mm-hmm. But if you had caught me there at like 17, 18, 19, I would have been there for I would have stayed through the whole thing for sure. So that was a past me.
Total little related side note. I went to a concert in LA when I was in my young 30s, and it was Rage Against, Muse, and Rage Against the Machine. And I went with my then boyfriend, and I was high and I was chilling, and I love Muse. I'm a huge Muse fan, so that was awesome. And then Rage Against came out, and then Rage Against the Machine. I'm a huge fan of Rage Against the Machine too, but at that time I didn't really know a lot about them. I was really there to see Muse. I've become a major fan. But anyways, I was sitting there, and down, where people stand, right? Not in seats. They were all in there, and they're doing the moshing, and they also set fires. There were all these little fires being set down there, and I was high and I was fucking scared. I was bet. Sitting in my chair like, what the fuck? I remember my boyfriend at the time was like, it's okay. They're just like, they're just vibing, and everyone around you is like this. And then down there, they're fucking setting fires. And I was so fucking scared. And then they played, if they had them end playing early because of that, they didn't make a scene of it. Like,
you couldn't tell. Okay.
I didn't know. They played a song and then it was done, or they played several songs, but they played a song that was done. I assumed the concert was over, and we like fucking got out of there real quick. So I don't know. I was like, is that supposed to be happening? Like, is that supposed to be happening?
Scary.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Huh. Was it like closed up? Was it like you were in a closed environment, or was it?
It was
like
open,
an amphitheater.
Yeah, it was like an amphitheater. It was open on the sky. It was open in the sky. So I was obviously
no
high
roof.
Because this is my memory. There was no roof. It was sky. It was crazy. Watch, someone's gonna come back and go, no, that shit was indoors, Felicia. I'm like, fuck, I don't know. I saw a sky.
I saw stars. Stars up there.
Stars up there. Oh man.
Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent.
No, that was great though. Fun.
What have you been watching?
Okay, I have been watching. I just wrote it down here. So just nothing as exciting as what you brought up. But me and my daughter did get into this Indian matchmaking. It's called Indian matchmaking. And watching this show of this Indian matchmaker and how she matchmakes people. And we binged it, and it was super interesting. We watched all of the Lord of the Rings. I don't know. My husband just all of a sudden wanted...
Oh, just the movies.
Yeah, the movies. My husband just wanted to watch them one night, and my older daughters were like, we've never seen this. I'm like, what? We've only seen The Hobbit. So they watched that.
Whoa.
And yeah, right? And
did they like it? I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. My oldest did. And I think my middle daughter got over it. I don't know. She watched some of it, but then kind of left.
Okay. We were just talking about this. And we were like, because they have that new Power of the Rings series or whatever on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
And so Jade and I were talking about the series and kind of how it evolved. And we were like, talking about how the Lord of the Rings is kind of the best one still, in his opinion, I think in my opinion too, because he was like mentioning that The Hobbit just got like really cartoony kind of in its like just super computer graphics stuff. I mean, they did some of that in The Lord of the Rings, but it felt like it was better produced in a way that but we haven't really, I mean, I don't know if I've gone back and watched it lately, so it might not hold up as well. So I was just curious, like if it held up.
Oh no, I think it held up. Okay. Some of the orcs and stuff I thought looked very costumey. Some were done really well, and some I thought looked costumey, which I don't remember thinking that before. But other than that, I think it held up really well. And it was cool to see, because they only saw The Hobbit, them making connections. Oh, that's that guy. Oh, that's why, A, B, and C, they were kind of piecing together when they were watching.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because that's a prequel, right? And then you go into Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Yes. We were all hating on the blonde chick trying to get Aragorn. It's like, bitch, he likes that fucking beautiful ass elf, so you need to fucking move on, close your legs, and get off the stage. And last but not least, I was really excited about this. We watched 8 Mile. I'm a huge Eminem fan. When I was in college, I had Subway posters of Eminem all over our dorm room, can sing almost all of his songs by heart, and was really excited.
Subway posters?
Yeah, Subway posters. So they're extra large posters because they're ones that hang in the subway. Yeah, they're like giant posters. Okay. And I was really excited because all of the kids watched it with me. Well, my older kids and Steve had already seen it. And they were really excited because they're also Eminem fans because they've grown up with me. Even TT knows who Eminem is. But they were like, oh, this is really cool. And it's fun and it's inspiring. And he's just fucking, just those rap battles are just so epic. So yeah. That's what we watched. Oh, and did I mention we just almost finished? I think we're only one episode away. Glow Up. The new season of Glow Up is on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's the makeup one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Man, 8 Mile is a classic. I haven't seen that in a while either, but loved that.
Loved that too. And I thought Eminem, for not ever having acted, did such a good job.
Yeah, I remember him doing a good job.
I mean, I know he's playing himself, but still, it's not that it's not that easy because you have, cameras all around you, and it's not natural. You like say some lines and then they stop, and then you do a little more and then you stop. So it's not that easy. And I thought he did a great job. He did a way better job than a lot of the actors we watch in these movies, and it's their job to be actors. So
yeah, he didn't do anything after that, did he? He was just an actor for his own movie. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
If he did, I missed it. Yeah, just for that movie.
Interesting. Great stuff.
Yeah. Great stuff. Eventful week.
I'm very excited for the new Game of Thrones show. We haven't watched it yet, but I think it's streaming now. And so I told Jade earlier today, I said, I think that's streaming now, and you better buckle up because we're going to watch that tonight. Okay?
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, so I'll keep you posted, obviously.
Yeah, keep me posted. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. We never finished the original. It took us a while to get into it. Then we were really into it, binging it. And then something happened in life. I don't know what, where it took us away from it and we never finished. Oh, and I think we're going to go back to finish it. But the people were so mad about the ending. Yeah. And when somebody tells you, oh, yeah, the ending sucks, it's almost like I don't want to watch and get so invested in the show to be disappointed in the end. So we didn't go back to it.
Yeah. It's understandable. You should finish it though, I think. Okay. Okay. And now you have very low expectations because of how much shit everybody talked about it. So maybe it won't be as bad of an experience.
Ooh, that's true. That's a good point. All right.
Anyway.
Do you want to get into this, bad boy?
Let's talk about Mother.
All right, let's talk about Mother! ! There's lots of movies called Mother, but it's from 2017. I watched it on Amazon Prime for free. So if you have Prime, well, I mean, I guess it's not for free because we pay for Prime, but the director was Darren Aronofsky.
Aronofsky, I think is how you say it.
Aronofsky? Okay. Darren Aronofsky, which I am a huge motherfucking fan of. I didn't know I was. Because when I watch movies growing up, I know of like the ones that are stars themselves, like Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino.
Yep.
You like recognize these names, even if you aren't super into movies. But I watch movies, and now doing this podcast, when I look back at what other things they've done, I'm like, oh shit, these people have done some of my favorite movies. So anyways, he's done Requiem for a Dream, fucking disturbing, and I love the fuck out of that movie. Black Swan, which I also love. The Wrestler and The Fountain. So grabbed some of those. I've seen The Wrestler like that too. I don't think I've seen The Fountain, but now I want to. He also wrote it. So there you go. The cast, Jennifer Lawrence as Mother, Javier Bardem as him, Ed Harris as Man, Michelle Pfeiffer as Woman, Domhnall Gleeson as the oldest son, and Brian Gleeson as younger brother. So those two are brothers in real life. There was a lot of other people. She's had such a small role, but oh shoot, I thought for sure, I'll remember her name.
Oh yeah, I also.
And I was like, I don't need to write it down.
She's a comedian.
Yes. S. There's an S in her name. It's.
I was thinking there was a K. Fuck.
There's a K and an S, I think. I'll pull that shit up now. So, Mother, and people are probably screaming the name at us. All the millions of listeners. I'm just kidding. She didn't come up right away because she only has like maximum 5 minutes. She's in the movie. So she didn't come up on like the major cast. But her name is...
She's in Bridesmaids.
Yeah. She's so good. And I'm kicking my ass that her name popped out of my head. Like I'm scrolling through people that I don't even remember being in the movie and she still hasn't come up.
Kristen Wiig.
Thank you. There's no... Oh, yeah, there is. Kristen.
Yeah.
So there is a K and an S. Kristen Wiig, yes. All right. So we settled that. Some stats on the movie. The budget was $30 million and the box office was $44.5 million. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 68%, IMDb a 6.6 out of 10, and Letterboxd a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
That is all I have there. So now we go into 2 minutes with Tawny.
I tried to keep this short. I did not do a good job. And so you're just gonna have to bear with me on that. Also, if you haven't seen this movie and you don't want it ruined, turn back now. I'm about to spoil the shit out of this. Here we go. Mother starts off with a set of shots showing a woman's crying burned face engulfed in flames, a man placing a stone in a holder, and a burned home turning back to the way it was before it was destroyed. Mother, you know this from listening to Felicia just now, no one in this movie has a regular name, wakes up and calls for him, Javier Bardem. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Bardem?
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to him as Javier because it got too confusing to just keep calling him or he. So, their house is totally isolated in a very green landscape. We learn that he is a writer that has been struggling with writer's block, and she has rebuilt this house from an earlier fire. She has a connection to the house. Late at night, a random guy shows up and claims he was given their address as a B&B. I almost said Airbnb. As just a regular bed and breakfast. He's clearly sick, and Javier invites him to stay the night. Mother isn't happy about this, but goes along with it. The next morning, they learn that the guy came here on purpose since meeting Javier was his dying wish. The guy's wife shows up, and she's a rude asshole. Period.
Yes.
Then their kids show up and fight over the guy's inheritance since he's dying, leading one of the brothers to kill the other during the fight. Everyone rushes him out of the house to the hospital, leaving Mother alone in the house. She cleans the blood and finds a bricked off room in the home, in like the basement of the home. The group comes back saddened by the passing of their son. Javier told them they could invite some people over for a funeral / wake / reception. I wasn't sure what to call this. Suddenly, there's a ton of people in their house being assholes and doing weird shit like trying to have sex in their bedroom and painting the house. Someone sits on a sink after she asks them not to like 5 fucking times, and they break a water pipe, causing her to kick everyone out of their house, finally. The couple fights about how he's more focused on himself than her and how she doesn't feel like she's enough for him. They have some make-up sex, and she wakes up the next morning with the knowledge that she's pregnant. When she tells Javier, he runs to the office with inspiration to write. The house is blissfully quiet for a time, and he finishes his next work. And she also becomes like, very close to giving birth. They are about to sit down for a celebratory dinner when some people show up at the house. The crowd grows, and it's reporters and people wanting to talk to him about his work. She begs him to make them go away, but he doesn't, and people start getting into the house. From here, shit devolves rapidly. There's people partying in the house, stealing and breaking shit, basically just acting like animals. She begins to go into labor as the state of people in the house gets worse and worse. People are being locked up and tortured, the SWAT team shows up and starts shooting people. It's fucking chaos, but Javier finds her and helps pull her out of the crowd and into his office to give birth. She has a baby boy, and everyone in the house becomes eerily quiet. She begs again for him to make everyone leave, but he doesn't want to and says that they're waiting to see the baby. Mother won't let him take the baby, but eventually falls asleep. The first thing this motherfucker does is take the baby and give it to the crowd waiting. They are at first in awe of the child, crowd surfing it like it's at a concert, until it is injured. When Mother catches up to where the baby was, she finds an altar with zealots gathered around it. On the altar, there's remains of the baby's body, and everyone is gathered around eating pieces of it. She finally snaps again, stabbing people with glass, but they overwhelm and begin beating her and calling her names before once again Javier rescues her. But she's had fucking enough, finally. And she runs to the basement and lights the whole thing on fire. Javier is the only person somehow not affected by the fire, though, and carries her to a table where she asks what he is. He says, "I am I, and you were home." He asks for one more thing of her, love. She agrees, and he takes a crystal, like the one from the beginning, from her chest, places it in the holder, and the whole cycle begins again, with a new mother. The end.
Nice. Oh, all right, Tawny. What did you think about this movie?
I actually don't know how to feel about it. I was like pissed about having to watch this movie again in the beginning. Pissed is maybe strong. Oh, you've seen it before? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I had seen it before, I think in 2017. It was before we moved here, so it must have been the year it came out. But I definitely watched it at home, like I just rented it or something. Oh, and I hated it. I absolutely fucking hated it the first time. I was like, this movie is fucking wild, but I didn't know what to expect, and I think that really made me hate it. Because it's one of those like kind of art house. It's very abstract. Like this is not like you're watching a normal movie, and I just didn't know going in. So it felt very like, what the fuck did I just watch? I really hated it. I've never gone back to watch it again. So when this came up, that's why I was like, who did this to us? And I went and looked. And we also had 2 comments on our Patreon poll, which I'm going to pull up and read to you just because I thought it was really funny. We had one person who was Mark from A Podcast on Elm Street said, I've never done this, but I'm going against my pick. I need to hear you talk about Mother, and voted for Mother. And then Michael from the We Love Horror podcast said, I voted The Visit because I didn't want to subject you to the torture that is Mother. So there you go. I think most people, this seems like a very divisive film. Most people probably dislike it, but I was surprised to hear your scores. Like, so maybe there is a lot of people out there that like it that I just don't know anything about. I'm excited for you to tell me more information, because at the time, after I had watched it, I did a little bit of research, and I don't remember a lot from that time, but I think I remember reading that it was supposed to be an allegory for like humanity treating the earth like garbage, basically, because we're guests here on the earth, right? Just like these people are guests in the house, and they just treat the house and her like total shit. And so I watched it the second time through that lens, and I had a little bit of a different experience. I did not hate it in the way that I did the first time. However, it is a very fucking stressful movie. Like, very stressful. I watched like 30 to 45 minutes last night and had to go to sleep. Like, I just turned it off and went to fucking bed and had to restart it again this morning. And I'm also infuriated by some of the stuff that happens in the movie. So I can't wait to just like totally bitch about that with you, because I'm sure you were also equally frustrated by this, like what happens with these guests and shit. But anyway, I don't know how to feel. I'm excited for you to tell me stuff. Either I'm going to end up liking this movie more from your research, or I'm going to fucking hate it. So that's where I'm at. How did you feel about this movie?
It's a lot of pressure. I'm just kidding. All right.
And you had not seen it before?
No.
Or have you?
No,
Okay.
no. I have never seen this movie. I didn't even know when I looked up Mother, and I'm like, is it this one, this Japanese one? Or is it the Jennifer Lawrence one? Or is it this one? So I had no idea. And so it's the very, very first time I didn't watch trailers. I didn't look at anything. I literally didn't know what movie we were watching just yet. I was like, hey, Tawny, did you happen to log into Patreon? Do you know what we're watching? She's like, Mother. And I'm like, all right. And then I woke up the next day and watched it. And I wanted to say to Angelo, thank you so much for recommending this movie, because I fucking loved it.
Wow. I'm so shocked.
Fucking loved this movie. Yes, I loved it. I had the time of my life. I had no idea what it was about. No idea. When it first started, I thought it was about witches, because she's burning, a woman burning. So, yeah. And then the rock. And then I thought, oh, this is what I thought. I thought it's about witches. And she is a reincarnation of some powerful witch that is now reincarnated present day. And all these fucking crazy ass fucking people reminded me of, I thought they were maybe witches or Satanists or something. They remind me of the witches from Witches. You know what I mean? Like that fun kids movie Witches.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Like just witches coming in, and they all had a plan, it seemed. And so I thought, oh, they're going to like sacrifice her or something. And so I was on this ride of thinking it was about witches. And I even in my notes, they all start out of either I fucking hate these people, and yeah. I hope she becomes a master fucking witch who destroys all these bastards. Oh, I hope this baby is a baby witch that kills everybody. I was just thinking it was about witches. I think the first time I thought, oh shit, is this about religion? Was with the two brothers. Because when they came in and they were fighting in the house, I thought, oh, this reminds me of Cain and Abel. And then I stopped and went, oh shit, is this not about witches? Is this about something different? And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a masterpiece.
Wow, I am so shocked. I thought you were going to hate this because I thought that you hadn't seen it before, so I thought you were going in cold. And I thought she's going to hate this for almost the same reason, but mostly because of, like, our main character even though I don't think that she makes any bad decisions or anything, and I feel like it's very true to reality how you would react to people being this in your face fucking rude to you. Like, you know, most of the time you don't lash out at people and say or do what you think you might do. But that gets to an extreme where it's like there's like shit happening that is comical, right? There's like things happening that you're like, this is fucking ridiculous. I would totally be like, get the fuck out of my fucking house. And I thought you were going to dislike it for that reason.
Oh, yeah. I think Jennifer Lawrence did a beautiful, amazing job. Because I could see her as because as a woman, I am not, meaning I would have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get these fucking people out of my house. So that would be the reaction I wanted from her. But she was really trying to please her husband. Her husband was just gaslighting her. He was just so fucking like, because this is what I want, or because we're doing this, or because we're doing that. And then I felt like she almost felt trapped. That wasn't her house. I mean, it was her house because she was married, but it was his house originally, right? That burned down. And she was almost even like a guest there. Like if she was to say, you know, fuck you, get all these people out, was he going to say, how about you just get out? So it was almost like she was trying to save the marriage and go along with it until it did become like way, way, way too much, right? I mean, there was a way too much.
Oh, yeah.
And then way.
We were 87,000 miles past way too much.
Yes.
By the time that she actually started to like freak out on people, you know?
Yeah, because I think there's also, it was a nice mix of being uncomfortable, because when those people were in her house, man and woman were in her house and they were just like, well, we're just going to stay. You'd be like, get the fuck. She finally just said, I think it's time for you to leave. But knowing that he's dying, and a lot of people, just think about even working at a day job, how uncomfortable it is to confront someone with something so minor, like, I really didn't like the way that you did this, or this is something you can improve on. People have difficulties with very small issues or confrontations like that. This is something like, hi, I know you're dying, but fuck you, get out of my house. You know?
Well, and it's made even worse by his insistence, her husband's insistence on like letting them stay and being like cool with them there and not talking to her about any of these decisions. I don't hate that part, like, for the record. I just thought maybe you would find that too much in certain moments, because even I am in certain moments like, just kick these motherfuckers out of the house. Like, I would be like, get the hell out. But I do think that they ride that line, you know, of this feels natural, like how people would actually react, not just how you would want them to react, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause she does stand up a couple of times and like, you guys need to get out, but she's very, no one's listening to her, and seeing her just start to fucking lose her mind. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I thought there's so much to talk about, but one of the first things was so masterfully done, in my opinion, is how you have this silence and this calm. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in utter chaos and you don't even know how you got there. And then you're back in calm. And then it's like, you know, things are escalating. And then all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, holy fucking shit, this is like insane. But then all of a sudden you're in a very normal, calm place again. And how he just guides you. It reminded me of the scene in Jacob's Ladder where you're in the hospital and there's like little hints of things like maybe that door looks a little too decrepit, or maybe the lights are a little too dim. And all of a sudden you find yourself in a fucking horrific place. You don't even know how you got there as a viewer and as these characters. And I thought they did that so well, because if you're just going along for the ride, but then if you really stop, you're like, wait a fucking second, like this is fucking nuts. But then you're back. Then you're back into your place, a believable place. And then you almost make everything that you just saw, okay, like you're putting some reason or believability into it. And I love the way they do that.
I agree completely. I do feel like it's a very good lesson in pacing in that way. Like, I feel like for the first like hour hour and 15 minutes or whatever. Like it's kind of, I don't want to say that it's slow, but it is like, I thought of that, you know, story about the frog being put in the water and the water turning up. Like, you don't notice if it's little by little. And I think that first like hour and 15 minutes with the family, you know how they come in one by one, like and then all of a sudden there's the two brothers and they have a fight and it escalates, and all of that feels very like, it gets crazy, but you are along for the ride in the way that you're like, I can buy that this is something that you wouldn't immediately think is going to get this crazy. So then that really pays off, I think, in the back like 20, 30 minutes where shit just, I mean, the like the compression of time is insane. It's like every couple seconds she turns around and there's like more people. It's almost like a timeline, you know. And again, I'm viewing this through the lens of like, this is about humanity and the way that we like fuck each other up in the world and the earth. And it feels like that timeline just gets compressed and compressed and compressed in the back like 20 minutes where it just shit gets, I mean, it's like she turns around and all of a sudden now they're throwing people into these cages and executing them, you know, when like literally minutes ago, she just saw this woman, Kristen Wiig, right? She shows up at the house and she's like, oh, there's the inspiration. Here you are. Let's get you to sign these, you know, copies of your writing or whatever. And minutes later, she's executing people in her own home. Like, it's wild. It's got to be one of the most wild horror movies I've ever seen in the way that it just goes places that you do not expect it to go.
Yeah. And the visuals. So obviously, like when that guy's face gets blown off, and a lot of different visuals that are disturbing. And of course, the baby, that was like, people felt that was a little too far. And I mean, I thought, what's too far? Like, really, I think it was so, oh my God, there's just so much. But anyways, we'll get there. But what I was going to say is, one of the things that I thought was the hardest to watch was when they were beating her up. So I've seen lots of movies where people are getting beaten up, but the way her body just jerked and you saw things moving and cracking, and it was probably, I mean, I've seen Fight Club. Like, a lot of us have seen Fight Club, but this, I don't know, there was something so much more real about
like
it and visceral about it. Yeah, that was, I wanted that to stop.
Yeah, that was really violent.
Yeah, that was getting real scary, and man, it was amazing. All right, so I have this piece that is really high level, kind of all the different characters and some different things going on. And then we could like really dig into a lot of the different pieces that kind of tie into this, but overall with the characters and such. So in an interview with Aronofsky, he explained the high level concept of the movie. So Jennifer Lawrence is Gaia, or Mother Earth, like Tawny was mentioning. Her house represents the world, a living, breathing organism being destroyed by its inhabitants.
What's the difference between the house and her? Because I thought Mother Earth like would be Earth.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's a good point. So I think they are one and the same.
But it's just maybe like her.
Yeah,
as
she's
a spirit.
Like. Yeah, like Gaia, the almost like goddess Mother Earth. And then because how she's connected with the heart, you know, she can see it inside the walls, and the Mother Earth being the world. Yeah, I think they're one and the same, but if that makes sense.
Okay, gotcha.
Her husband is known as Him in the film, and Him is God. Out of boredom, he creates Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve are man and woman. So Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, okay. I was really curious about him and his symbolism? Him symbolically. I did not pick up on, because I thought he was supposed to just be like man, you know, like representative of all humanity. But that makes so much more sense, because I was like, this guy has a different type of power. There's like a power dynamic happening here that doesn't make sense for him to just represent humanity. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm
No.
processing as you're telling me this.
There's so many things I want to say, like even that, just God and how God represented. But well, hold on. Let me just finish this thing. Okay. So him is God. Out of boredom, he creates Adam and Eve, the couple who perceive to destroy both Gaia's creation of Earth. So Gaia being Earth goddess, right? And creation of Earth. And his study, which represented the Garden of Eden. And that perfect crystal would be the apple in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, okay. The study is...
Because remember, she's saying, keep out of the study. The study was such a special place and it housed that crystal. You can't go in there. You can't go in there without him. No one's allowed in there. It was like this sacred space where she gave birth to, it was like this sacred space.
I guess I just assumed that, like, and I don't know that this makes total sense now, knowing that the, like, house is supposed to represent the earth, but the area around the house felt like Eden to me because it was just, like, lush and green and...
Oh, yeah. That's good. I loved that too. Okay, my first note of the whole movie watching was, this is my dream house. Like, it was where it's located, the house layout, the wood floors. I fucking want that house big time.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, which holds God's perfect crystal or the apple. The quarreling sons are Cain and Abel. They also bring worshipers to praise God, who keep sitting on mother's unsupported sink and eventually cause the pipes to burst into the great flood. God impregnates mother, who gives birth to the Messiah, and then a chaotic sequence followed by a disquieting communion and revelations.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. This is all biblical in a way that I did not see coming.
But there's also mixed with it, so they have this one other bit that he was talking about in another interview, which I think also, so it's all combined in this massive chaos that we experienced. So something Aronofsky also added the week before the premiere. It is a mad time to be alive. As the world population nears 8 billion, we face issues too serious to fathom. Ecosystems collapse as we witness extinction at unprecedented rates. Migrant crisis disrupt governments. A seemingly schizophrenic U.S. helps broker a landmark climate treaty and months later withdraws. Ancient tribal disputes and beliefs continue to drive war and division. The largest iceberg ever recorded breaks off the Antarctic ice shelf and drifts out into sea. At the same time, we face issues too ridiculous to comprehend. In South America, tourists twice kill rare baby dolphins that washed ashore, suffocating them in a frenzy of selfies. Politics resembles sporting events. People still starve to death while others can order any meat they desire. As a species, our footprint is perilously unsustainable, yet we live in a state of denial about the outlook of our planet and our place on Earth. From this primordial soup of angst and helplessness, I woke up in the morning and this movie poured out of me like a fever dream. All of my previous films gestated with me for a number of years, but I wrote the first draft of Mother in 5 days. Within a year, we were rolling cameras, and now 2 years later, it's an honor to return to Lido to be watching this movie. He goes, I imagine people may ask why the film has such a dark vision. But Hubert Selby Jr., the author of Requiem for a Dream, taught me that through staring into the darkest parts of ourselves is where we find the light. Mother begins as a chamber story about a marriage. At the center is a woman who is asked to give and give and give until she can give no more. Eventually, the chamber story can't contain the pressure boiling point inside. It becomes something else which is hard to explain or describe. I can't fully pinpoint where this film all came from. Some came from the headlines we face every second of every day. Some came from the endless buzzing of notifications on our smartphones. Some came from living through the blackout of Hurricane Sandy downtown Manhattan. Some came from my heart. Some came from my gut. Collectively, it's a recipe I won't ever be able to reproduce, but I do know this serving is best drunk as a single dose in a shot glass. Knock back, salute.
Okay.
So and that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like everything, like you were mentioning, humanity, and within that, deeply, deeply rooted within that is religion, and wars that are caused in religion, and just everything is everything all wrapped up.
Yeah. I will say this time I cried through the last like 30 to 45-ish minutes, because I think I felt that on like a really deep level. It was the moment where she is starting to go into labor, and she's maneuvering through the house, and she finds the group of women caged up, and she's dealing with all of what's happening. She's like in the middle of pain, giving birth. And like the one thing in this moment, she sees these people and she wants to help them. And she tries to like get open the cage, but she doesn't have any tools. She can't do anything. And there's just utter chaos happening. And I just like, it was like a gut punch. And I felt that in a way that's like what it is to exist right now. It definitely feels that way. It feels like there's so much happening everywhere, at every second in the world that's so bad. And all you want to do is help. But how can you help one person when there's so much chaos happening and you have your own thing happening? And like, I totally received that, I think, in a way that I didn't the first time I watched this. And I just fucking cried through the last like portion of this movie because it was so visceral.
Yes. I have a thing here to exactly what you're talking about. So after the house has descended into chaos, once Hymn's fans storm in, Mother walks around trying to get to safety and sees various acts of cruelty and violence, including sex trafficking, scenes alluding to political protesting, religious execution of non-believers, human sacrifice for the sake of religion. According to the filmmakers, these scenes are all meant to be a criticism of humanity's worst faults and of religious and political fanaticism. And to what you're saying exactly, all of it happening right now, all at once, in this never-ending loop. This is just what keeps happening.
Yeah, and how do you do anything? How do you help?
Yes. And and then this one more thing, and then I think this kind of ties everything up, because what it's saying about God, what it's saying about creation, what it's saying about us. Aronofsky has stated that Mother's baby is the Messiah, and I think that kind of was a little bit more straightforward when they brought, them eggs and gifts. They brought them bearing gifts and eggs like Easter. Everyone's waiting. It's almost like waiting for, the Messiah to come again, rise again, and presenting of the Messiah. But this is confirmed by the fact that he is the Son of God, the fact that God or Hymn's followers offer gifts to the newborn, all of that. And the fact that after the baby's death, I didn't pick this up. I thought, what the fuck is happening? But I loved this. After the baby's death, the crucifixion, the religious leaders say he is not dead. Remember, they were like, he's not dead. You can hear his voice, blah, blah, blah. So faith in Christ's resurrection. The worshipers eat his flesh, just like the eating of communion wafers symbolizes eating Christ's flesh. Additionally, Mother may be a virgin mother, because she does say, you can't even fuck me. And then when they're kissing and everything, you actually don't see them have sex. She's like, she stares up and it's light and it's white. That could be a symbol of virginity. But that one part about, because I didn't catch that when they were eating. I did think that he was like the Messiah, but I think I was so taken aback by them killing the baby and then eating it that I didn't even put that 2 and 2 together of they were eating his flesh. And I thought, when I read that, I was like, oh, fuck. Yes.
Yeah, totally. I did not pick up on any of this at all, just because I think I'm not like poised to pick up on religious things like this, because I didn't ever read the Bible. I wasn't like raised super religiously. And, but now that you say all of this, it makes so much more sense in a different way that I just did not even realize. But I'm sorry, go ahead. We'll come back to this. Just this moment, how tense it is. It's like,
yeah, we can absolutely talk about it. I was just, to what you're saying, I think there was so much, and I think there's so much wrapped into it. Themes on motherhood, right? How, giving of oneself, never ending, all this being taken, about the earth, about religion. And you can think, oh my God, it's just so many themes and so much. But if you take a step back, it is all one theme. This is all happening and intertwined together as we speak. It's all, you can't even say, oh, religion versus politics versus, because it's all meshed together, everything and how we are. And I'm so curious about God actually in this movie, because at first I thought him as evil. I didn't realize he was God. I didn't look up anything about it. So I didn't even realize, I know they referred to her as mother at some point, but I didn't know his name was him and this was man and this was woman until I did the research and I was looking at the cast. And so he's pulling her, like every time she almost gets out, he's pulling her deeper in. And so I was like, who is this? This maybe, I thought the same as you, maybe this is man. Maybe this is, I thought maybe God, then I thought, no, maybe man and ego, right? And power. And he keeps pulling her in and pulling her in. And then when I read that it was God, I was like, oh shit. Okay. So this is God. Let me think about it a different way. You can either see God as the unending love and that he has for humanity. That's just like, no, they can do it. They can do it. Like this unending love and what am I trying to say? Like faith in us as people having God, but this unending faith in us, but then how naive and how selfish God is being, that he's constantly putting Mother Earth through this. She's saying, just let it be me and you. Because if humans were not here, the Earth would be fucking fine. It would be better off than it is now, right? Like we all know that. So she's just like, I just want it to be me and you. You created me and let their threat. No, we just got to give it another shot. She's like, stop. He's like, no. This relentless clinging and drive to this project that God has of humanity. And it keeps failing. Like we don't have it in us to make it work. And I just thought it was so many interesting ways to look at God and the commentary on God as well. Sorry, okay. I took it way. We were talking about the baby being.
No. This is great. This is totally. He says that, right? Like, oh, I just have to try again. Right at the end, it's like, we're just doing it again. And again, I thought, oh, this is about humanity, like ruining the earth and then starting over. Like, because, for all we know, there's been several iterations of humans getting to a certain point and then the earth ends and we like start over. Who fucking knows? I don't know. But that's kind of where I thought we were going. Not from like a religious God toying with people standpoint. So,
but I think that's cool because that is also, I think it's also saying that. That's what I really love about this movie is because it's also saying that. Because the world, if you think about like the dinosaur time, right? That was some destruction that happened to the world, killed all those dinos, all of that stuff that went down. And then she regrew and healed and flourished. And she's going to, after we're gone too, there's going to be a point where we're all gone and she's going to be like, fuck. She's just going to heal and grow. But, and that cycle, but thinking of it from, I don't know.
I can't believe that you didn't.
So cool.
I mean, you definitely picked up on some of this, right? With Cain and Abel was like your hint. And then you may have started to think about it that way. But I'm so shocked that you liked it so much. And then what was the experience going and doing this research and realizing it was all like religious? Were you just like, this is incredible?
Yes. Like, so after Cain and Abel, I started to look at it from that lens. Of religion. And so all the religious things that started to pop up and fucking fanatic people and how God just created something beautiful, Right. He was first. There was also something about, his first book, right, that made him super popular or people loved, they say could be like the Old Testament.
Okay.
And then it started to wane. And so his next creation that inspired the masses was after Mother got pregnant and gave birth to Messiah, which would be the New Testament. And that's where he gained the majority of followers, is after the New Testament, which is true. Like the majority, like there's lots of Christians everywhere. And then how he just wanted to share this beautiful thing with humanity, and humans just became hungry and obsessive and like, oh, we need to worship you. And then just like fucking got crazy and started warring and just worshiping and idolizing so intensely, where he just wanted to share this beautiful thing with humanity. Mm-hmm. We tend to do that a lot because even Buddha never wanted to be a religious leader. He discovered something and he wanted to share it. And nothing against Buddhists. I mean, that, it's beautiful and all of that. I love it. But it's like never intended, you need to worship me and make gold statues of me. But that's what we do as humans. We have to start doing that. So anyways, I did get all of that. I did not get, though, until I researched that she was Mother Earth. I kept thinking, does she just represent womankind? Is she Mother Mary? Is that, who she is? So I didn't get I knew there was something with humanity, obviously, and religion, but I didn't get that as Mother Earth.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like we viewed it through opposite lens in some way,
Yes,
because
totally.
I was like, okay, maybe this is the genius of this movie. I'm giving in. You're winning me over. Because he does even say, when he goes out to talk to the reporters and stuff, he's like, they love it. They totally understand all of it. And he's like, everybody gets a different thing from it, which obviously can be said of the Bible,
yes,
but also can be said about art and this movie itself.
Yes.
It's very meta.
It's very meta.
And I thought that was meta. Like when I heard it, I was like, okay, I get it. But now with this added dimension of like religious themes, I feel like I don't feel like it's as maybe pretentious as I did. Because I think it's really interesting how you can have so many messages, like you're saying, so many things, but it still is somehow cohesive, even though this movie is totally fucking chaotic. It absolutely feels abstract, but it doesn't feel like too all over the place, I think, thematically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it fits together. It's definitely, when you're looking, especially in the last scene. So he has also said, the director has also said that the exclamation point represents the last, like, I think it was 30 minutes of the movie. Last 20 minutes of the movie, the chaos that ensues. That's what the exclamation point represents after Mother in the title. But as you're going through there, it's obviously artistic in the way that how are we having like a full-on war and human trafficking now? Like where has
in this house?
In this house. But the way it blended together, it almost feels, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how this is happening, but you can't. But the way it all flows together, it feels like you can. I don't know.
Yeah, like, again, it's turning up the heat slowly enough to where you're sort of like, okay. I mean, obviously some moments are fucking comical. Like, let's see. As soon as the sons come in and they're like fighting about stuff and they're like in somebody else's house, I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Or when she comes down from the stairs and people are painting like in the middle of like, you're like, what?
Yeah. I thought, when she came down and I was like, what the hell's happening? And then I was thinking, now that I know, it's maybe the few good people they're trying to help the earth. There's only 2 people. They're trying to repair it. They're not doing a good job. They're fucking making it worse. But they're not doing enough as well because there's too much too much else going on. And maybe not that they're messing it up. It's more they're not doing the right thing.
Yeah,
because
misguided.
Misguided. We don't know what the right thing is. So their intentions were good. We're trying to fix it up. But it's misguided. I think of things like paper straws. I don't care if paper straw or not, but I'm just saying there's real big things that need to happen. And it seems like the only things that we could do as humans are these very small things. We're just going to use paper straws instead of plastic, or now you have to bring a bag for your groceries. I'm not saying these things shouldn't happen. I'm just saying on the grand scheme of things,
like, does it make a difference?
Exactly. Yeah. We need to all come together and fucking make big motherfucking changes. Like the aliens want us to. Just kidding. But big changes together to really make an impact. And that's what that painting reminded me of.
Yeah, the painting.
The painting, the people painting the house.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I got immediately confused.
And I think with the brothers, I was definitely, when they came in, I was like, oh my God, who do these fucking people think they are? But then that was also the moment where I went, this reminds me of Cain and Abel. Oh, fuck, I like this. I'm like, I'm gonna go along with this ride. And
I was like, the fucking audacity. Who in the fucking fuck shows up in somebody else's house and has this like argument? And she keeps being like, you need to take this somewhere else. You know, like, this is ridiculous. Yes. And again, I'm not viewing it through that lens. So I'm just like, what are you guys doing? And go ahead.
Sorry, I got really excited.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, when knowing all of that context with the characters in the Bible, so when man and woman go upstairs and they break the crystal, then immediately what they do is go downstairs and have sex. So just like when Adam and Eve eat the apple and then they are embarrassed by their nakedness, and then their sin and all of that great stuff. It's like kind of goes right along with it. And then I read somewhere her bra, when Michelle Pfeiffer opens the door, when woman opens the door, she has like a green flowered leafy bra. And that could represent how they covered themselves. After eating of the apple, they became ashamed of their nakedness and covered themselves with leaves. And so kind of like these little things all throughout it. That's why I just really liked it.
Wow.
I wanted to say something about, actually, you just mentioned that pretentious, and I had a big, long conversation with Steve about that, because a lot of reviews, well, before I go into that, actually, I'm sorry, because I'm like going off the rails, zigzagging around. Did you have anything you wanted to say about that? About Michelle Pfeiffer and the brothers?
Not necessarily, I think. No. Let's just keep going. No, it's okay. I feel like this is a chaotic movie to talk about even than it is. Like, obviously the movie itself is chaotic. And so we'll come back to anything, I think. Just keep going.
Okay. We'll totally come back to it. Okay. So that I noticed when I was looking at reviews, people either really liked it, and I do have a quote that I really, really liked from Martin Scorsese about that. And then, or people really hated it. And something I saw continuously stated was that it was pretentious. And I know you have said that too, not about this movie, but in the past. And I stopped for a second and I had a conversation with Steve. Can a work of art or a creation really be pretentious? Because if I don't think that this movie was pretentious, I didn't receive it as pretentious, and obviously other people did. So that's fine. But I feel like critics and viewers and creators can be pretentious. But is the work itself pretentious? I feel like you create something to say something. Either it's just to entertain, like a Die Hard or something like that, or to educate, or to actually make a stance on something, or to move somebody, or to scare somebody. Whatever the reason is, you create something for that, and either you do it well or you don't. And this felt to me exactly how he explained it, as like a fever dream of all of these things he was thinking of. Not that he was trying to say, oh, I'm going to create something that if you don't get it, you're just not smart enough. I didn't feel that at all. And so I was just really, and then I started to think about how I review movies and just really being more considerate to the art itself and really what makes something pretentious. Because I definitely don't think this was. And I think if you watch something and you don't understand it, doesn't necessarily make it pretentious either, right? It might be, we just, I could watch something, I could watch a number of things that Steve would get because of the things he's into. And he could watch something with me that he might not get because of the things I'm into. But anyways, it was just me like kind of standing up for this movie and like calling it pretentious or calling movies in general pretentious.
Yeah, it's a good point. I've never considered that. But I don't like, that's one of the things that I don't like, is I don't like things that feel pretentious to me. But you're right. Like maybe labeling the art itself as pretentious is impossible because it's like not a person. You know what I mean? But it is made by a person. But maybe that's just like how you feel, like how you receive information. And I think on some level, this movie kind of does that to me, at least, watching it the first time for sure. And then watching it the second time a little bit, as far as like, I'm not smart enough to pick up on whatever the fuck this movie is trying to tell me. Right. Like and now I feel dumb. And that is what it feels, I think, pretentious. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I almost think that was a really great way to say it, that it's almost then how we're feeling about ourselves and not the intention of the art at all. Because there's no reason that anybody should feel dumb if they've not been exposed or interested in learning about certain things. Some people just aren't interested in learning about certain things. Like if Steve, he knows all about, I don't know, he knows really lots of random things, but maybe like hunting and food, cooking and all kinds of stuff. Oh, cryptocurrency. How about that? I know I don't know a lot about that. He knows a lot. And I don't feel stupid though. I don't know a lot about it and am not as into it as he is. And so if there was something about that and I didn't understand, that's okay. I just don't understand. I don't need to feel stupid because I don't understand. It's the same thing with this. What if you've, like you were mentioning, you were not into religion, so you didn't pick up on those themes. You picked up on all like the Mother Earth and stuff. I even love Mother Earth and all that stuff, but I didn't pick up on that. I picked up really heavily on the religious aspect of it. So I think it's cool you could see it those different ways.
You know what else I wrote down as themes that I picked up on that I think are present, but maybe not the focal point, but I think that relate to me personally are gender roles and social pressure. Like I wrote a note here that I just put social pressure, the movie. Like it's basically just like an experience of social pressure. So you're right. Like everybody kind of picks up on different stuff based on your own interests and thoughts and feelings. And that is something that I personally am kind of, I have a pet peeve about. I think we might have talked about this at some point, maybe not on a podcast episode, but one of the things that irritates me is like a know-it-all, like people who act like they know it all, right? So maybe that's why I'm especially poised to dislike things that feel pretentious. I'm doing air quotations, pretentious to me, because they make me feel stupid in the way that I'm like, are you trying to impart upon me something that you are smarter than me about, so that's probably my own lens, right, that I'm viewing things through. But exactly like you're saying, like, is the work itself that? Maybe not. It's just how we receive information.
I really like that.
I'm having a realization.
Oh, I'm excited.
Because after talking through all of that, I just thought this is kind of like, this movie itself is kind of like a kaleidoscope where I don't know if this is actually the term of this thing, but we used to have these where you'd look through and you'd turn and it would change the kaleidoscope, the way it looks.
Is it the viewer where it changes the picture, or like the thing where it warps things and you turn it around and look through it and it's like...
Yeah, not the viewer where you just like click to the next picture, not that thing, but we used to have like a
They're
little...
kaleidoscopes.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
I'm talking about the thing that you look through and it's got like a bunch of mirrors on the inside and there's like an image and you turn it and so it changes what you're seeing. And that relates to the octagon. So this is something that I wrote down because I wondered, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I wondered about the symbolism about. And the octagon is one of them, right? So the house itself is an octagon.
Oh, yeah.
There's octagons on the like gates or the fence. What am I trying to say? Like on the porch, the little tiny fence. There's that. It's on the
railing.
floor. The railing. Thank you. I could think of every word except for railing.
Baby fence, the baby porch fence,
tiny little baby porch fence. And then the doorknob that he kills the brother with. That's an octagon. There's a lot of octagonal. I don't know if that's a real word. Symbolism, and I wondered what that had to do with anything, but now I kind of wonder, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm reaching here, but kaleidoscope, I think that's kind of how a kaleidoscope works, right? Is you have several faces of a mirror that you then like put the imagery through.
Fuck yeah, I love that. I didn't notice this, so this is very exciting. So all the different ways you can look at something. And then I Googled symbolism of an octagon, and it says also the octagon and star octagons were religious symbols for rebirth and resurrection.
Oh shit! Wow, that's real on the nose.
No, I think there's both. That's the thing with this movie is I think it's all encompassing because there's definitely like the octagon or what blood represents. There's definitely things about motherhood in general removed from a religious mother, but just, you know, being a mother, being a woman, being a man.
Oh yeah. One of the things I wrote down was like, she's just like walking around cleaning up after everybody. And that was infuriating to watch.
Yes.
And I was like, I bet moms identify with this on like a very deep level.
Yeah. No one listening. And okay. So this was, something I'm bringing Quentin Tarantino into it, but I really liked this. And I think this movie does it as well, because even though there are very clear like statements and themes within this movie, it also is left to what you are experiencing in this movie as a human, right? And the different ways you are experiencing it. And I love that. And Quentin Tarantino talks about this. And specifically, if you've seen Pulp Fiction, and I won't spoil anything because you wouldn't even know what I was talking about. But one of the number one things people ask him is what's in the case, what's in the briefcase. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you'll go watch Pulp Fiction. So people ask him this all the time. And he says, the contents of the case are whatever the viewer wants them to be. I love that. I loved that even with this, there were very clear themes, but it's also leaving us to take from it what we pick up from it. Because like him, the director, it was this fever dream of stuff. And he says even, I can't pinpoint. I mean, I know there's these different things, but I can't pinpoint it all. And we were just watching a movie like this. What was the movie we watched where that was the same thing? It was like, it's what you get out of it. God, what did we just watch? But the director was saying that it was, you can see it. It's what you get out of it and experience. I don't even remember anyways. I'm all amped up. So I just wanted to share that because I like that. And that was something with Donnie Darko that made me sad. And I put a note here. I almost wish all directors would do this after Donnie Darko. This is what my note says. Because when you were sharing the research and it was almost as all these things you think it means, it doesn't. That didn't really mean anything. It kind of just meant this. And it wasn't as deep as people perceived it to be. I want that. I don't want that taken away from me. I want to be able for it to be possibly deep You know what I mean?
Because whatever you saw.
Or whatever I saw in it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for letting me share all that.
Of course. Yeah.
So, okay. So let's, we're talking about all the little things in the movie. So let's take a look at some of those little themes and such. I'll mention one is once it started to be religious, or I started to see that, I thought, okay, it made me immediately think back to what I had just watched so far. And I thought of when Ed Harris, was vomiting and sick and how he was hurt.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it's like Jesus when Jesus was on the cross and he was stabbed in the side.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't right, because I think after doing the research that represents when God took the rib from Adam to create woman, because then the next day woman shows up. Eve shows up.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, that is...
I wondered about this
so
too.
clever.
Yeah, because I was like, what is happening here? It never seems to come back up. But there's like clearly something wrong with him that he tries to hide from her. And okay. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So that's that with the rib. And then here shows Eve. Fucking bitch, man.
Oh, fucking hated this lady. Oh my God. Oh, she as an actress did a fantastic job.
Yes.
So got to give it up there. But I just was infuriated by this woman. I mean, she just was like the most presumptuous, rude, fucking person I've ever seen in my life. And I just like when she comes down to in that, when they're having like the wake, I guess, or whatever for their son. Yeah. And she's like, why don't you go put on something decent? It was like, bitch, you're in my fucking house.
Yes.
Okay. Like accidentally, you're not even supposed to be here. And out of the kindness of my heart, I have not kicked your ass out because your son died here because your other son attacked him. You can fuck the fuck off about whatever the fuck I'm wearing. And also, I just woke up in the middle of the night, right? Like, wasn't that the time that she just woke up from sleeping? I was so frustrated. So let me just also say, though, that the fact that this movie made me feel such intense emotion, I think is a good thing. Like, I'm not, like, mad at the movie for making me feel so intensely. I think that's actually a very good job. And from the second viewing, before we even talked about all these themes and stuff, I was like, this is a very good job. And I feel like this guy, as a director, does a very good job of all the movies that I've seen of his, making you feel the way that he intends for you to feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have to give it up for that, but I was so fucking mad.
But I did not like the way I was feeling. That's the problem. I try really hard not to feel these feelings on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And you just put me in, now I'm an unwilling host for these ungrateful motherfuckers, and I'm so mad. I just want to kick their asses out.
Oh my gosh. There was one thing, I didn't get this, I didn't catch this because I didn't even watch the credits. But
I didn't either. Okay, tell me.
In the credits of all the names, all the names are lowercase except for God is a capital H. I am. And then everybody else. So that was like a hint. It said to find out why there's a lowercase m in the title. It should be mother with a lowercase m. Read the credits and look at the letter that is capitalized. There's only one capitalized letter for in the credits in the characters' names, and it's God, him.
And him. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Also, I didn't catch this. The lighters had a symbol on it, and it was the Wendehorn, and it's a runic symbol that represents the cooperation between nature's eternal laws working in effect with accordance with each other. So,
interesting.
I didn't see that at all, but
I definitely felt like burn this motherfucker down, kill them all. I don't care. I was like, take them out. We got to right this wrong. Okay. We got to have to balance what's happening.
Wasn't it so satisfying when everybody burned up and the house exploded? I was like,
yes.
Oh my God. Fuck all these people.
I know, it's so bad. I was like, in some ways, this is a revenge movie. And so, I like that. And so I was here for that part. I was like, beat the shit out of these people, stab them, burn it down. I don't care. I want to see all of these people pay.
Yes.
For being such assholes. Ugh.
Oh my God.
But that makes sense. Okay, tell me about the last thing that I picked up on. Oh, two things. Number one, the fucking thing that she puts in the paint and she puts in her own drink several times throughout the movie because she's having, we don't really know what's going on, but she's sort of having like visions. She could see the house returning to its like burned, decayed state. I did not pick up on that the first time I watched this, by the way. I only picked up on that this second watch. But she also put it in the paint or like, it's not paint, it's like plaster that she's doing like a plaster treatment to the house. But this was weird. But just like this high pitched noise happens every time she has an episode. And then she drinks this liquid with the yellow powder in it and feels better.
Yes. So I just pulled something up. That was one thing that the director has never explained. So all that we have is a lot of theories.
Conjecture.
Yes. So one thing that was said is that that powder that she takes could just be a nod or a representation of women suffering from mental illness, controlling husbands, and stifling gender norms, was what it could be. But I saw a lot also. Let me just find it here one moment. I knew I should have wrote this down and then I didn't. Yeah, so first there was a lot of reoccurring yellow fluids, right? The thing she drinks is yellow. She puts it in the thing and paints kind of like with that yellowish paint.
That baby pees all over everybody.
Peas everywhere. Woman makes a big fuss about the lemonade. There's yellow lemons everywhere. But they haven't. Oh, this is it. Okay. I've seen this reoccurring. I don't know much about this particular thing. I should have researched it. But so one of the unexplained elements is that yellow tonic, right? That it's implied helps to calm her nerves. An article on the Daily Beast suggests that this is a reference to Charlotte Perkins Gilman's story, The Yellow Wallpaper. So let me just grab that. And it is worth noting that she does stop drinking it once she gets pregnant. Yeah. But I'm just going to pull that up, see if we can get a snippet on the yellow wallpaper. What is the yellow wallpaper? The yellow wallpaper details the deterioration of a woman's mental health while she is on a rest cure on a rented summer country estate with her family. Her obsession with the yellow wallpaper in her bedroom marks her descent into psychosis from her depression throughout the story. So those were the only things that I saw, but nothing has been confirmed and the director hasn't said anything about it.
Interesting. Okay. It was a very small thing, but it happened so often that I felt like this has to mean or connect to something.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the other thing that I wrote down? When she first finds, I think I called it the boiler room. Like, I wasn't sure, but it was that room that was sealed off. Mm-hmm. The first time she opens that up, there's a frog in there that hops out.
Yes.
Anything on that?
Yes. There was something on that too. There was one little thing. And of course, I didn't write it down because I read it and I was like, but I know.
Sorry. I'm bringing you all the questions.
It's right here. Okay, so when Mother discovers the room behind the stone wall, a frog leaps out next to a large oil drum. This was Him's previous work from the beginning of the film, ending in fire. The frog is a reptile, like the dinosaurs, where it's believed that crude oil was made from dinosaur remains.
Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't add it, because I didn't know what to do with that. Well, I read it and I was like, okay. Okay.
And well, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense too, because I was like, why is there all of this flammable oil in their basement?
So much oil.
I mean, I know, again, that's me trying to make sense of a movie that is so abstract. But again, I wondered about the symbolism of it.
Well, yeah, there's definitely, it represented something. Because how random in a movie so packed full of symbolism, were they like, okay, she opens this thing and let's have a frog hop out. Because how long was that fucking frog in there living? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, fucking at least like 8 months, right? At least 8 months.
At least. Wait, she rebuilt that house herself? Probably more than that. There was so much.
True,
but at least, you're right, at least 8 months. But why? You know what? Hey, might be cool. I like frogs. Let's have a frog jumping out of here. No.
Right, yeah.
That did mean something.
Okay. All right. I buy that. And also maybe, I mean, again, I'm reaching here just with my own thoughts, but just the, allegory of the frog in the pot of water boiling. Maybe there's a link there.
Oh, maybe. I like that. I also just Googled while you were talking frogs in the Bible. And there is a Bible verse and says, and the frogs shall come up both on thee and upon thy people and upon thy servants in Exodus.
Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Oh, wait, I'll plague you with frogs. Oh, frogs are one of the plagues, right? In Revelations, maybe? Well, look, here's Exodus 8. Go to the Pharaoh and say to him, this is what the Lord says. Let my people go so that they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will plague, it's one of the your whole country with frogs.
Oh,
and the Nile will teem with frogs. So one of the plagues.
Interesting.
I want to say this about him, about God. So the character him is frequently referred to as the poet. The word comes from the Greek poetes, which means maker or creator.
Oh, shit.
Also, Aronofsky explained that him, this is where that was from, that him as a writer creating the first book, like the Old Testament. And then, so the book he wrote, as him, the film begins, him is a writer who hasn't been able to write anything new for a long time. The book he wrote, which earns great praise from his fans, may be understood to be the Old Testament or the Torah, and its followers represent the ancient Jews, the first monotheists. When he impregnates Mother, he is suddenly inspired to write something new, which earns him even more followers, which could be likened and represent the New Testament.
Oh, okay. I wish I knew more about this type of stuff for these conversations because I just got nothing, no background information about any of this, but it's super interesting to me.
Yeah. And this endless cycle, right? This endless cycle. Okay, how about this? For horror lovers out there, something non-religious for horror lovers out there. The Mother poster is a replica of Rosemary's Baby poster. And and a lot of people thought it was going to be a remake of Rosemary's Baby because of the poster.
What are you talking about? What poster?
I'm
gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look at several posters because the first one that I saw, I saw a couple and I'm like, it doesn't really look like it. But there's one in particular, and we'll post it in our Discord.
Yeah, you'll have to show me because I'm not looking at, maybe I don't know what the original Rosemary's Baby poster looked like, but
yeah, there is, I will show you. It's like pretty much identical. And it is the one where I'll have to post it because Yeah, I'll post it. But there's like this picture in Rosemary's Baby of like Rosemary laying on her back, so you only see her face, and then there's like this this baby carriage, and then they replicate that for Mother, but it's her and it's the house.
Oh, yes. I did see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yes. Okay, can I also just say, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about symbolism and shit aside. I do think this is a very scary movie from the standpoint of like, we've already talked about this. One of my worst fears is being pregnant and everything that comes with that. And so that portion of this movie is probably the worst for me. Like when she's pregnant and there's all this chaos happening and she gets knocked down 1,000 fucking times. It's so tense and awful to watch. I hate it. Because even if I'm just walking around in life and I see a pregnant woman, it stresses me the fuck out. Because I'm like, I just can't. I'm like, am I going to watch you fall down right now? I can't handle that. Just me. I can't handle watching you fall down.
Please, for the love of God, don't fall.
It makes me fucking nervous. And so this movie is like top tier, top nervous movies I've ever watched in my life. Like nerve-wracking movies I've ever watched. And so then though she gives birth, right? She's pregnant, gives birth. And the first thing, like I said, they start pushing around this baby and you immediately are like, well, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. And then it fucking dies. You don't really see what happens. Like it's really quick, but it seems like somebody grabs its head and like snaps its neck. There's like a crack sound that happens.
Yeah.
So that baby, newborn child, dead. And then they're fucking eating it. Like I just was like, this is the most like absurd. Just for me personally, I was like having a very stressful experience watching that portion of this movie.
Yeah, and there was something with, Eve. Yes, I was very stressed too and sad and like, fucking don't fall asleep. Please don't fall asleep. That motherfucker's going to be like, look at the baby. He's just waiting for that shit.
He's waiting.
Damn it. Because he can't fucking help himself. Sorry, God. But I'm just saying. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Literally, oh my God. And then, they take her baby in and then she's grieving. And now she has felt the deep, true grief of losing a child like Michelle Pfeiffer was alluding to. Do you really understand?
Yeah.
Grief without having had a child and then having lost a child. I don't know what I'm saying about that, but that was something. And because they say the exact same thing to her that the husband said to the family about losing a child. You can still hear his voice and just listen and all of that sort of thing. I'm not really going anywhere with it. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. No, that was a good tie-in. Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you something more lighthearted. It's not really lighthearted, but so Jennifer Lawrence took a year off from making movies after working on this film because she said it was so taxing. It was so taxing that all of the climactic scenes, she would start hyperventilating. Even during one of these scenes, she was so invested into the character that she would actually start hyperventilating as herself, as the character, and she broke one of her ribs or cracked one of her ribs in the filming of this movie. And
just from what do you know?
I think it was during that chaotic scene that was being filmed. Around. Yeah, I don't know exactly what cracked her rib, but she was just in it, like fucking totally invested in the reality of this character that she had cracked. It sounded like she had, because of being invested in this character and how she was acting, she cracked one of her ribs versus someone hitting her or whatever. And the set or the people on the set built a happy place for her that she could go to when she started to get anxiety. That had like, there was one thing that I was surprised because this would stress me the fuck out. It had the Kardashian, that show that the Kardashians,
Keeping Up with the
Kardashians on loop in there, which would cause me more anxiety. But then also other things like scented candles and like all of this other stuff that she could go into to calm down. after some of those scenes.
So yeah, that fucking makes sense because just watching this movie is stressful as fuck.
Yes. She also said, I didn't notice this, but throughout the entire thing, Jennifer Lawrence is barefoot. And it was her idea. And she wanted to emphasize the character's connection with the house.
Yeah, that made me nervous because of the glass on the fucking floor. That also stresses me the fuck out. I never want to watch somebody step on glass. And there was broken glass and I was like, please don't. And also she like is never wearing a bra. That's something that I noticed this time.
Yeah.
But I did feel like, because again, I'm viewing it through the lens of this is Mother Earth. She is just
natural
as she is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is a part of it. I think there's like a tie-in from Mother Earth being natural and it is who she is. Religion, period. I mean, you could try to argue with me, but you would fail on this point because religion makes nudity bad.
Yeah.
So how Eve, right? Eve, once they do all of that and the apple and all of that, and they're embarrassed. And now Eve is saying to Mother Earth, cover yourself up. Go get something decent. And she looks down and you could see her breasts.
Yeah.
So all of these little...
Oh, shit. I feel like you could maybe watch this now. Now that we've talked about this, I feel like you could watch this 100 times and never pick up on everything, you know?
Yes. I want to tell you, I don't have any of the negative reviews written down because you can go find them. They were making me mad. Everyone's entitled to what they want to say. Go ahead. And a lot of it had to do with, I have no fucking idea what's going on. This is a pretentious piece of shit. There was one, oh gosh, I should have wrote down who it was because I actually teased my husband about this. And then we had a whole conversation about this. I think it's called Cinema Score. And they review movies. And a person who writes reviews for Cinema Score said, this is the worst fucking movie ever made. And to say it's the worst movie of the year is an understatement. It was the worst movie ever made. And that made me so mad. What a fucking pretentious thing to say. Because are you kidding me? So this launched into a conversation. I was telling Steve, you know what? My husband, he is totally along the lines of he would never give a movie a 5 because that is saying that's the ultimate movie. Nothing could be better. And I was saying, but what about a 0? And he's like, oh no, I give this a 0, this 0. But you're saying it's the worst movie ever made if it's a 0. And he's like, yeah. Okay, but nothing could be more worse. And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay, well, you gave The Mist a 0. And he's like, yeah. Then you gave Nope a 0. You said that Nope was worse than The Mist.
Yeah.
So technically you found something. He did not want to admit I was right. And he's like, well, no, I would give The Mist a 0.00. And I'm like, no, you can't have it both ways. He's like, yes, you can. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't.
No.
So anyways. Yeah. I thought that was a ridiculously pretentious fucking thing to say. The worst movie ever made.
So now you're divorced.
Yeah, no. We went back and forth and he knew I was right with that point. That you could, because then he ended it with, and he was like, yeah, out of 10. And I'm like, no, out of 5. I don't like scoring out of 5. And I'm like, just shut up. You're just trying to twist the conversation so you can't say I'm right on this point. But so anyways, that's ridiculous. The worst movie ever made. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
I mean,
you could not like this movie, but there are a lot of really bad movies.
Of shit out there. There's a lot of shit out there.
Such a sweeping statement. Even to say it's the best movie ever made. This is a very sweeping statement. But anyway.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese said, it was so tactile, so beautifully staged and acted. The subjective camera and the POV reverse angles always in motion. The sound design which comes at the viewer from around corners and leads you deeper and deeper into the nightmare. The unfolding of the story which very gradually becomes more and more upsetting as the film goes forward. The horror, the dark comedy, the biblical elements, the cautionary fable. They're all there, but they're elements in the total experience which engulfs the characters and the viewers along with them. Only a true, passionate filmmaker could have made this picture, which I'm still experiencing weeks after I saw it.
Yeah. Yep. Yes to all of that.
Drop mic, Martin Scorsese. Just kidding.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that he mentioned that we haven't really talked about, the acting. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it here and there for certain people, but overall, I do feel like the acting is fucking incredible. Like, it's so nuanced and subtle, and I like that. It was amazing from every single person.
Yeah. Every single person was phenomenal.
And I agree. I hadn't thought of the sound design that way, but he's right. Like, because there's not like I can't even remember any music. If there's music happening, I don't remember it off the top of my head. But it is sort of like, yeah, you hear things, tiny things like a glass breaking or people screaming in a different room. Also, one thing I liked about this is it is seamless, right? Even though there's like incredible, it is like a fever dream. It's like a dream where you experience like weird stuff shifting and changing, but you just kind of accept that as normal in some weird way. And the way people are behaving and stuff, you're like, shh, it's weird, but you're like, okay, sure, I guess so. And so it feels very dreamlike or nightmare-like in that way, but it's also very seamless. You know, like she moves through the house and it, like I was saying earlier, like the span of time seems to get compressed and there's like suddenly now 18,000 people coming out of the fucking woods to her house, like literally 5 minutes after the first people arrive. Like that is so weird, but it feels all very connected.
Yeah, they make it normal somehow.
Yeah.
Like he just handed you the paper. And now his publisher knows about it already and loves it.
Exactly.
And she's confused. She's like, but then it just keeps going. So you almost try to make sense of it just like she's trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, and so you get why she is so like caught off guard. You know, like all the time she's sort of on her heels dealing with all of this. And I think it's part of the reason why she doesn't react as strongly as maybe, again, an audience might want her to react, because she's constantly reeling from like, what's going on? I mean, she asks like several times, what's happening? Right? Which is like totally how you feel watching the movie. What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then she destroys herself to stop it all. And then God's like, no. Let's do it again. She's like, oh, God. Oh, God. Please.
I went back to check in the beginning of the movie to see if that was a different woman. And it was. We had 3 different women.
Yes.
And even in, because, you know, I have subtitles on all the time. And I watched it on Amazon Prime, so it shows you the names of characters. That first woman in the first like shot, her name is Foremother. So she was the mother before. And then there's Jennifer Lawrence, and then the woman who wakes up after everything regenerates is a different woman. So it's just, yeah.
Okay, I thought the last one was a different woman, and I thought the first one was, but I didn't remember back. I thought, well, maybe it was Jennifer Lawrence, but I don't remember exactly. Yeah, so Sarah Jean Labrosse, Jennifer Lawrence, and Laurence Leboeuf all essentially play the same character in the movie, Mother. Labrosse or Labrosse is the previous mother that dies before Lawrence comes to life, and Leboeuf is the new mother that comes to life after Lawrence dies. This heavily implies that these events will be an endless cycle because humans fucking suck. That last part wasn't there, but I added that.
I think that might be the perfect sum up of this movie.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because no matter who comes to try to help us, whether there's a god or there's aliens or there's whoever it is that fucking believes in us.
People with paint rollers.
Yeah, people with paint rollers. Whoever believes in humans so much and keep like, woohoo, the humans. It's almost like just
suck.
give up on us. We fucking suck. We're never going to make it right.
Burn it down. Burn
Let
it all.
motherfucker burn.
Oh my God. Somehow this tied back into Woodstock 99.
Yes! As soon as I said it, I was like, oh shit, this is Woodstock 99. But yeah, it does though. This movie does, because it's exactly what it's about. It's exactly greed, power, ego, humans, just fucking humans, us fighting against each other, us fighting to make it right, fighting to be heard, suppression, like everything. And we always fuck it all up. We don't know exactly what to do. Even people with the best of intentions.
Right, yeah.
Don't know how to make it better, truly. And it just keeps getting worse. And then it gets kind of better. And then there's just these cycles. And truly, though, if you look at the world at large, does it or has it ever really gotten better? We could look at Tawny and I, particularly in North America, right? And we've maybe had leaders that have been decent, where things were good or felt good, and then they felt bad. And we can see those cycles. But if we look at the world, if truly all of us as a one humans on Earth, it is never, ever been good, really, right? Or it has, there's been those moments in different places, kind of like the peaceful moments for Mother, whether when she was giving birth or whether, she was having that nice dinner with him.
Yeah.
So there are peaceful moments in pockets, but there's always the chaos too. And it always comes back, because there's places whenever we're feeling peace, there's places in the world where people are experiencing deep pain and oppression, and it just is a wave. It's just how it is, just constantly.
Yeah.
An never-ending loop.
Well said.
Thank you. And that's Mother. Do you have anything else you want to share?
I think that about sums it up. I'm going to stop talking.
I'm very excited to see now what you're going to rate this movie.
I will say, I think I've had the biggest change in what I think I'm going to rate this I have ever had.
All right, so let's move into rating this. Tawny, what score did you land with?
Well, I was coming in to this conversation ready to give this sub 3. I was going to go less than 3.
Oh my God. Okay. This is the most tense scoring I've ever experienced.
Because I was going to say, I always know that our conversation is going to change, how I felt. But if you had asked me right in the beginning, before we had any of this conversation, I would have said, I don't recommend that people watch this movie, which is the 3 cutoff for me, right? I would not tell anybody that they need to see this movie. However, after this conversation, I'm going to give this a 3.9.
Nice. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's almost a 4. Which is fucking really good for you.
Yes.
Okay,
4s are,
good.
I loved it. And so I felt like I couldn't quite push it up to a 4. Like my 4s are like Swallow. I think I gave Jacob's Ladder a 4, which now I think back and I maybe should have given that a higher score. As Above, So Below, I give a score I fucking love. Like those movies I recommend to people all day long. And like I said, I was ready to be like, you don't even need to look at this movie. Don't even put your eyeballs on this movie. So that's a big fucking change. That's like...
Oh shit, because now you're telling people you should put your eyeballs on the movie.
Well, yeah, I would say if I were to have a conversation with somebody now and they were like, I fucking hated that movie, I would be like, have you done any research? Do you know what any of the themes are? I highly recommend going and revisiting, because watching this movie a second time, even before our conversation, I had a very different experience watching it, and I didn't hate it as much as I did the first time, but I still didn't really like it, right? Even though I think it's very effective in the way that it makes you feel a certain way. But I don't think I picked up on all of those themes and how, but again, watching it really affected me. I don't think I cried the first time I watched it, but I cried a lot the second time, and I really just felt it. Maybe it's just like where I'm at in my life, and I feel this heaviness of the world in a different way than I did in like 2017.
Yeah. When you're watching Beavis and Butthead? No, I'm just kidding. kidding.
When I watched it the first time, So I'm very actually glad. Thank you, Angelo, for making us rewatch this. I was so like not excited for it. And I didn't want to like let on to you, Felicia. Like, I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm so not stoked to watch this movie. But that's how I felt. And so going back and revisiting this and our conversation, like, I really have changed my tune. And now I want to make Jade watch it. He refused to watch it with me because I told him about it from my first watch. And I was like, this is one of the most stressful movies I've ever seen in my life. And he was like, I'm not doing that. But now I want to like make him watch it with me. So I would tell people now, like, you need to revisit it with a different lens. Anyway, that's big change. Maybe the biggest change I think I've ever had through our conversation on rating.
That is so exciting.
And for the record, other things that I give a 3.9, Carrie and Tragedy Girls, which I both really, really loved.
Yes. That's awesome. Okay, I'm very, very happy.
Great job. What are you going to rate this?
I am going to rate this movie a 5.
Oh, I was wondering.
Fucking love this movie. So at first I was thinking, do I love it more than The Witch and Caveat, which I give 4.9s? And I think I do. It has just that little added element. I mean, I loved Caveat. I loved The Witch. I love stuff about witches and witchcraft and Christianity. This was just that extra like 0.1 higher as far as what the movie is saying and how masterfully, in my opinion, it portrayed that message. I fucking loved it. 5 out of 5.
Wow. Just.
Yes! I thank you so much, Angelo, for this experience. Well, and the director, of course, and all the actors. This wasn't on my radar at all to watch. And since you didn't like it, it wouldn't have been on your radar. So I wouldn't have even known.
Exactly. I would have never suggested that we watch this. Ever.
And typically when I pick a movie, I think with Donnie Darko, I was like, yeah, let's watch this. But usually I'm like, I'm kind of between these two movies. And sometimes I ask Tawny, what do you think? And, I'd be interested in what, I'm never like super definitive on what movie. So if I would have brought up Mother, you would have been like, nah.
Yeah.
Let's not watch that. And so I wouldn't have watched it for like ever.
Yeah. I'm grateful. I'm glad that I took another look at this. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That was fun. Okay. So this for me, the feeling I'm having, I'm ranking this conversation. So when people ask us, what's one of your favorite episodes you've done? So like Black Christmas, absolutely loved. Antichrist, absolutely loved. This is now on it in the top 5 for me as well. And this is excluding guests. I have favorites of, like all of our guest conversations are super fun, but conversations between me and Tawny and just that fun and that energy. The Audition is up there too. Yeah. Like, it's just this unexpected blossom of magnificence. I don't even know what to say.
Totally.
Just so amped about it and so much fun.
I agree completely. I feel the same way. As it was unfolding, I was like, this is such a revelation of a conversation.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, that was fun. What a great way to start the weekend.
Yes.
Now, so the next movie we're watching, we don't know. We had some stuff come up, so we had to move some things around. So we're not sure which movie is going to come next. So it's going to be a surprise for all of us. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again, Angelo, for this movie. And thank you for everyone who put in suggestions so that our patrons can vote. And thank you for our Patreon members for voting and picking this.
Yeah.
No offense to the other option. I'm sure it was great. I'm just really excited.
Yeah.
Again, we love for you to connect with us. If you can find us at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick on Instagram or 2chicksandahorrorflick.com. Either of those places, like our link in bio or our website, will bring you anywhere else you want to go. So any other social media platform that you prefer, we're on there. Also, if you want to buy some merch to support the show, you can buy merch and it's super cool and you'll love it and you'll look cool. Also, if you want to join our Discord community, our Discord horror community, where we post, extras, we have conversations with people. We just love connecting. It's super fun. No pressure, conversate when you want to. And what else, Tawny?
You can support the show by going to our Patreon or giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. But that's it, so we'll see you next week, and we hope you have such a good night. Well, maybe next week, we're not sure. Maybe the week after.
We'll see you soon.
And no nightmares.